Well, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the September 8th meeting of the Grosse Ile Township Public Services Commission, and like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I see we have a nice group of citizens here tonight. Thank you for coming. And if we take care of a few quick items of business, then maybe some other people will show up in the meantime. So I'd like to start by calling the roll. Riley? Here. Kennedy? Here. Les Schmidtke? Present. Ron Wilder, I doubt if he'll be here tonight. He's not feeling well, so we hope you feel better, Ron. Jim Nelson? Present. Jim Budney?
Present.
Ted Van Oz?
Here.
And Chairman Kostick, I'm here. Next, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Your support.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next, we have the minutes of the August 11th meeting. All had a chance to look at them. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of August 11th, 2015.
Support?
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. The minutes be approved. I do have one correction, and I'll ask if anybody else does, but Lorinda, I just noticed that this afternoon on page 5, where it talks about, we were talking last meeting about the Great Lakes Water Authority, the transfer of Detroit's water system to splitting it to a regional and a wholesale and situation so that we would be a wholesale customer, which we are now, but Detroit itself would be a retail customer like we are, served by the Great Lakes Water Authority. So this is the breakup of the Detroit water system. It says what we looked at creating our own water system, take a water intake, about 6 or 7 years ago, Ted?
Yeah.
And Brenda, it's not 15 million. We were talking about going in with Trenton and with Riverview and to build our own intake, our own water treatment plant and fix all the lines that had to be fixed. It was 50 plus million. We decided not to go forward. But at any rate, so that correction, not 15 million. I don't have any others. Are there other comments? And I just make a comment last to you. I think this month of September, if you're going to be around, we'll try to arrange that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay? Other than that, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, fair enough. Minutes are approved. Next, we don't have the bills, and we don't have a statement of revenues and expenditures because of the holiday. We didn't get those in, nor do we have a treasurer's report. So we'll defer all those till the next month. And so finally, it's time for public comment. Does anybody have something other than items on the agenda to speak to? Going once, going twice, okay. So therefore, we'll move on under action items. We have none tonight. And the manager's report, Lorinda?
Okay, first item up I have is that we have a household hazardous waste collection sponsored by Wayne County Department of Public Services. It will be held on Saturday, October the 10th from 8 until 2 at the Wayne County Community College District Downriver Campus located on North Line Road in Taylor. Items that are accepted this is published online, and the folks at home, you can take a look at it. Also, as another note, we're also having a Dump the Junk sponsored that same weekend, and that'll be held at our DPW garage located at 8555 Grow Road, and that notice is coming up shortly. Second thing I have on the agenda under manager's report is a field report on mowing. As you know, I think I reported on this last meeting, but Wayne County came out and they hit all the areas that we recommended. They did a very nice job, and my staff went out over at Grosse Ile Parkway and Waterway, and they cut back everything behind the guardrail, so that looks very nice and neat when you come onto the island. I just want to say thank you to everybody that was involved. John, you want to talk about the water main repair we had?
Well,
John-
before you go on with that, I know that your staff also did a lot of other cleanup along Meridian at the ferry crossing, or the walkway, the bridges. Also by the high school, coming off East River onto Grays Drive.
Wayne County did that.
Did they?
Yeah, they did that.
Well, I thought you. So I appreciate the effort to try to clean up the roadsides. Frankly, Wayne County, here it is August, and they finally got out here to mow. And it does look better, but I know that we're not alone, because if you drove King Road, Sibley Road, Pennsylvania, and other roads that they're responsible for, they were equally as overgrown and unkept. So thank goodness they're catching up. All right, I'm done.
We had 3 water main breaks for the month of August. One was at the corner of Meridian and Macomb Street, which I'm sure most of you saw. Due to the fact that there's a line on each side of the road there and the water was coming up in the middle, we had Aqualine leak detection come out and try and pinpoint the leak for us. They were unable to, so we made arrangements and went ahead and cut the pavement. We cut about 65 feet of pavement, but we only had to remove 21 and a half feet to find the leak itself. So we went ahead and made that repair. That concrete will be replaced next Monday. Just going to let it compact a little bit more with this rain coming. That water main itself was about 20% calcified on the inside of the pipe, which means...
An 8-inch pipe,
Correct.
meaning that only 6 inches or less was open?
Yes, sir.
Flushing program.
Yes, we're going to begin the flushing program next Monday on the 14th. It'll take probably 6 weeks to complete. So bear with us as far as if you get any rusty water, just let your cold water run until it clears up. Try not to wash any clothes during the day between 9 and 3 while we're doing our flushing program. If you do get rusty water in your laundry, we have rust remover. You can contact the DPS and we'll deliver it to you.
Now, when you flush hydrants, only in the area where it's being flushed with the chemicals be stirred up, the minerals, right?
Correct.
Flushing in your area is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
A little careful.
And we do have a list that we contact people that have issues with health effects from rusty water and things like that, or if they have expensive water softeners, we contact them, let them know that we're going to be in their area that day.
Okay, thank you. Commission, have any questions of staff?
I do. John, there's an apparatus that's right across from the fire hall driveway. It's been there for about a week. Like, it's a small trailer, and there seems to be some portable piping that goes into a manhole. Do you know what I'm talking about? What is that?
That's for the AT&T. They have what they call a wet cable. There's a cable inside a conduit, and it got moisture in there. I don't know if you noticed them. They dug right next to the country club, found the location of the break, and made the repair. So it's like a ventilation.
Repair is done, but what's that, a vent now?
Ventilation,
Were they
yes.
drying it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And also, I just want to let everybody know that our new hire, George Marks, is doing an excellent job. Both him and Jerry are currently enrolled in a water distribution certification course, so they'll be able to get their certification come November.
George is here this evening.
And also, Campo Brothers have been doing an excellent job for us making the water main break repairs as well.
Okay. Next, we're going to turn our attention to Stout Road, and I just want to see everybody. First question I have is, just representing each household, how many households are here? 6. All right, so that's about half. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to summarize quickly. Several of you were here at the last meeting. We received a complaint several months ago about the ditch on the west side, I'm sorry, the south side of Stout, where several of your driveways have heaved to some degree. Does anybody have the concrete drives that have heaved badly? You do? Is it? You have the horseshoe driveway, where the displacement? Where the displacement is this high? That's your driveway. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. So we got our engineers to look at what needed to be done, and obviously the culverts under the driveways are too shallow, and the frost over the last couple winters has caused all these to heave. So we asked our engineers, what can we do to fix that and fix the drainage? So with that, the engineers came back with a report to us and basically said to do the driveways, dig them all up, the approaches, dig up and just the approaches in the right-of-way, and replace all the culverts and lower the drain anywhere from a foot to a foot and a half would be about $100,000. The estimate came in at $92,000 for us to do that. Now, every year we have drain money, and so our proposal was we'd go forward with that, and that was one issue. Another issue is that we have three different kinds of driveways. We have asphalt in a couple cases. We have concrete, and the replacement of those two differ in cost. And then there's a couple of drives that are stone or gravel of some sort. So what do we do about the equity situation there? I mean, we're not in the business of replacing driveways. We know there's a problem. So our proposal at this point is that we replace all the driveways. We get the work done. We're taking bids in 2 days. If we can get under contract yet this year, it'll only be a week-long job or 2-week-long job at most. Our proposal is to replace all the drive approaches in stone through the winter. We'd provide a good stone base. It would be firm and not muddy, and allow that to go through the spring. And treat everybody the same in that sense. Then our proposal now is that you all could decide what you want to do with your drives. You want to replace them in concrete? We'll see how everything comes through the winter. You want to replace them in asphalt? Or you want to replace them, well, the stone will be there. So that's the proposal at this point. I'm going to open it up for everybody to talk. So that's a summary. So there were 3 people here at the last meeting, and all 3 people indicated support for the project. One resident expressed concern about the project because of what might happen to the mowable portion of the ditch that's currently being maintained. And it's a legitimate concern. We hear that often from people. One thing we're exploring, we have to get a permit for this project from the county. One thing we're exploring is, in some cases where the ditch might get too deep, where you can't mow it, to just put pipe in all the way across with an inlet in it, if the county will approve it. Now, there's a good question that they may not approve it, so you'd end up with a ditch. But we would try to get all the ditches to be mowable as best as we can. So those are the comments at this point. Because there was an objection or concern raised to the project, we thought we should invite everybody back, because last week we just had 3 property owners in attendance. It just, frankly, as a citizen, the same as you, it amazes me that when you talk about digging somebody's front yard up, that not everybody shows up. We're trying to be open and democratic about this. So with that, I saw one hand go up, and we'll let everybody come to the podium and express themselves. Mr. Thomas?
Robert Thomas. I live at 8143 Stout. I'm totally against the whole project. For one thing, the county's been out there and dug that ditch probably the last 3 years. Basically, they've dug it and it hasn't really accomplished a whole lot. It's like my ditch got dug and it backfills itself because they dig it down and then the dirt from both sides kind of backfills in. And then at my expense, I had to put grass seed in to bring it back to where it was before they dug it up. Like now what they want to do is dig it down deeper yet. So it'll be more of my soil to backfill into the ditch. And then you have to deal with culvert and cement. Like my driveway hasn't heaved at all, and it's been in there 22 years. So let
me just clarify something for you. As I understand it, the county pitched the drain in the wrong direction, and that's why...
Wait a second. Now, I talked to the supervisor from the county a couple of different times. Last year was one time.
You might not admit it.
Well, from what I see, basically, I don't really have a water problem in my ditch. I don't think my next door neighbor Vic has a water problem in his ditch. On the other side of Vic is where it goes down. That was done probably 25 years ago, and there's never been a problem. Now they want to dig everything up. They're going to redo the dip across the street and everything else, which is going to make a big mess out of everything. at a cost of, say, $100,000 to the township. I think it's $100,000 too much. It's a big waste of money. If the township wants to throw $100,000 away, they could. How many houses do we have along there? 10? Divide 100,000 up and give everybody 10,000. 10,000, I'll be happy. Just don't do nothing.
The problem we have to rely on our experts. So our engineers tell us that the drain is pitched the wrong way. Now, a county employee might be well-meaning.
There was a supervisor for that.
I don't care if he was Mr. Evans. He might be well-meaning, and he could have been incorrect. And if that's the case, which our engineers tell us, and they've been our engineers 40 or 50 years, then we're kind of forced to look at what their opinion is. And I think you'd understand that.
Well, the drain when I built my house was shot with a transit. And everything was done correctly according to code, and I really haven't really had a problem. I really don't know of anybody that's really complained until I have a neighbor that he's complained to the county for the last 3 years in a row. He's had his ditch dug up like 3 years, but I think the county said his biggest problem was that he had so much water coming from his water outlet from the house that kept water in his ditch.
Sump line?
Sump pump.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Quit lying.
That's what
I'm tired of hearing
the
this
county
now.
told me.
That's what he was.
All right, well, we're going to let everybody speak their piece. So I guess I want to just say one thing. I mean, let the commission, anybody else have any questions? You know, in the 1920s, Michigan adopted a drain code. That's because people at the top of the hill never flooded, but people at the bottom of the hill flooded. So they adopted a drain code that said all the water that's going directed from a certain area in a drain district that runs to flood certain properties, that everybody who has runoff has to participate. So, I respect the fact that you say you're against it. You don't think your neighbors have a drainage problem. We'll hear from the others.
If everybody maintained their ditches too,
Well,
it really wouldn't
the
be a
fact
problem.
is, it's pretty clear and evident that the ditch that's there is too shallow against the bottom of the driveways, and several of them have heaved. Several people have come in and asked for some relief on that. So
well,
we'll let everybody speak. You can speak again when everybody else
that's
is
fine.
talking.
That's all I have to say.
Oh, okay, fine. Who's next?
Mr. Thomas, in rebuttal to what you say.
Oh, please, name and address.
Okay, Marcy Tarziers, 8031 Stout. Been your neighbor all these years. The reason why you think the water flows so well is because it comes in between our houses and it flows to the back of your property. Is that not a problem at your place, that the water flows to the back of your property and stays there? You see it. You know where that comes from? I have it on video where it comes from.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's talk about
Okay.
whoever comes up, talk about your property and your
Okay.
problem. We're not
problem
going to have.
True, we have complained to the county 3 times. Lonnie Lee came out the very first time, I think it was in 2010, and said, yes, those ditches needed to be dug out. And he said, and the next 3 need to be dropped because they are too high. Well, in 2012, his replacement came out. When we complained again, they came out, they dug out the ditches, they put gravel in. Well, in the process, they broke the belly band. So when they came back, we said, hi, glad to see you guys, actually something going on. And they said, oh, well, we're here, we broke the belly band when we were changing the angle. And we said, changing the angle? What do you mean changing the angle? The water flows to the west. And they go, no, it flows to the east. Well, that's a physical impossibility. The water's going to flow to the west of the canal. And what has happened is, in that time frame, when they changed the old culvert that we had there, they put in a larger one, which is more cubic volume of water coming through. So what happens is, when we have these severe rains, the water flows out at our large volume to the next doors. Well, his is much smaller, much lower, and what it does is the cement that he has comes back as a dam and runs in between the houses and goes to the back of the property.
You're talking about the water flowing east from your
Flowing to the west. No, flowing to the west. because
Okay.
the volume comes out
Oh,
so
so it comes
heavily.
back, okay.
So it comes back because the driveway and the culvert are at the bad angle, and it comes back our way, runs in between the houses. I have video of that happening. So he ends up with water in his backyard. The neighbor has it in their backyard, and it sits there probably for as long as the water sits in our front yard. We have asked for relief from this. I appreciate the township going to this extent to get this corrected. I understand their objections. They are not the ones who have to live with this problem for the last 7 years. I can't mow that ditch. I don't want to run in the water. I'm not a mouse, and I don't swim in water well. So it's not that easy to mow as everybody seems to think it is. So I appreciate what's being done here, and I request that we go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who's next, please?
My name is Cass Ronowitz, and naturally I'm her husband. And what gets me is that when we came back, like we were gone about 4 days, that's when I saw something had happened. He had gravel each side of my driveway in the ditch, and that's when these guys changed the angle. Because Monday morning I heard this grinding going out there. What the hell's going on? So I walked out there. What are you guys doing? Well, we broke the belly band. We had to suck this gravel out. I said, why did you break it? He said, well, we had to change the angle. That's what happened when they went to change it, that the water goes to the east. I said, you guys are wrong. It goes to the west. Now, my next question is there any rule as how close can a neighbor's sump pump line run, like be right down my lot line, or is there any kind of restrictions?
Not aware of any, but ask staff.
Generally, I'll check on it with Tim. I can have him come out and take a look at it. Okay?
Well, like I said, in this, they put gravel on each side of it. Don't ask me why. And then when they came back, they were like making a little path to the gravel. I said, that ain't gonna help any. So,
Okay.
and also my driveway, because of this water, she got a picture of how much the water covered the driveway. But over the couple, 3, 4 years, that driveway is down 14 inches. 14 inches. It's cracked. It almost looks like might be a sinkhole coming there.
Your driveway has sunk 14 inches?
Well, not the whole thing, but as you go from the garage floor, and I measured it with the line to the roadway, and it's 14 inches down at this point. That's how bad it sunk from all this water. So, there's,
Thank
I
you.
can tell you.
Who's next, please?
Don Volk, 7931 Stout. I guess everybody has a different issue to deal with here. I'm kind of at the top of the hill of all of this. And my front yard floods, the water backs up to the top of the hill when we have a heavy rain. They're all downhill from me. So you clean the ditches out, I'd be happy. Thank you.
I'd like to hear from everybody that came tonight. Important for this commission to hear from all the citizens. Don't be timid.
Evening, John Veris, 7997 Stout. We're fairly new neighbors and residents to the community here, and we understand about the ditch, and we do have a circular drive. We do understand that the ditches probably do need to be cleaned out, and I support that. But I am one of the ones with a concrete driveway, and our concrete is not heaved. So as far as not replacing the concrete, I don't support that. So if you're going to go in, dig it out, clean the culverts out, even if you're going to reset it, I am in support of that, but I would very much like my concrete replaced.
So there is one house that has the slabs really displaced.
Oh, yeah, you'll get to her.
That's yours, okay.
Yeah, we're right next door to them, and we're downhill also from them. And right now, there is water in the ditch right now, but I am able to mow. I mowed it just a short while ago. Like I said, I am in support of redigging it out and cleaning it out. It needs to be. But as far as the concrete goes, I believe that. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Christy Cook. I live at 7953 Stout. I'm the one with the raised concrete. It's about 6 inches. We purchased the house 2 years ago. The concrete was normal, level. Now my kids can't even ride their bikes. I don't want to let people trick or treat on my property because I'm afraid of a liability. I'm afraid somebody's going to sue me. So I am definitely in favor of having our concrete replaced just right there at the culvert.
So you're in favor of the project?
Yes.
And you'd like your concrete replaced too?
Yes. Just the culvert right there. Where
You have to tear.
So I understand you're doing the rock base, and then I would like you to pour concrete over the rock base.
Right, I understand. Okay.
Yeah. Not the.
You'd have to dig up the whole ditch and lower a brand-new pipe and put it in. What we're saying is that we have to decide what's equitable about this concrete.
Right.
Some driveways are gravel, and we are going to spend this amount of money. Some are asphalt, we're going to spend that amount of money, and then some are concrete, and we're going to spend more money. And we do have a cost breakdown on that, and there's substantial differences between them. I understand your problem. We would assume if we did nothing, you'd have to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just talking. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know if the commissioners want to jump in, but we have to face reality. Part of that's your problem. And certainly you would never want to fix your driveway if we don't fix the drainage problem first.
Right.
You're throwing money away.
Right.
I think you understand that too, John.
It's not heaved, but the bottom of the ditch definitely could be dug up.
Can't dig it out without tearing it all up. You know that.
Yep.
So, okay. So is that it, Christy?
Well, when you drive down Stout, you notice that there are a lot of driveways that have been replaced with gravel. So there's obviously an issue with the way that they originally did it, in my opinion, because you drive down other streets and you don't see as many culverts that have needed to be replaced. So there's obviously a problem with the drainage system, the ditches.
Okay. That's it for now?
Yep.
Everybody can come back up again if they want to. Did we get your comments?
Vic Simon, 8175 Stout. I have no problem with cleaning the ditches, but concrete replacement is important. When I moved into that house 20 years ago, the driveway was heaved. For whatever reason, I don't know. I had the driveway replaced at the cost of $10,000 about 4 years ago. It's heaving slightly again. So if anything's going to be done with cleaning the ditches, I'd like my concrete replaced.
What I seem to be hearing from concrete people, that you want a like kind and quality replacement. So if a neighbor down the street just had gravel there, then that's what it is, but you want like kind and quality.
Absolutely right.
At your residence, or I guess that gentleman does.
Right. Absolutely.
I guess I understand.
I just had the driveway replaced. I mean, why should I? You know, it's heaving for whatever reason.
I understand that.
It's not cracking. It's just it's shifting at the joint replacement. So.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you. And are you together? Okay,
No.
very good.
We're together.
That's what I mean.
Too many years, but we're together.
All right, why don't we, I'm going to open it up to the commission, and you as well, Ted, and staff, if you want to. We'll talk about it for a minute, and then anybody can come back up to the podium. So,
just a couple of comments. I'm going to talk a little history. The Renowitz came to me and said they had a problem. We took a look at it. We sent the engineering down. We took a look at the old engineering drawings that go way back. We had some discussion with Wayne County. And initially, the crews from Wayne County were doing some corrections to the east, but in all reality, main drain or the main storm drain for this area is actually to the west. over the years, whether it was a degradation of the ditches or lack of maintenance, who knows? These things just did not get addressed, and they got worse and worse and worse. Our job, I guess, or our responsibility, if we're going to tackle this, is to do it the way it's supposed to be done, going back to the original drawings, with the engineering department confirming what has to be done, and do it right. The only question is that how much do we get into it? Because I think part of these driveways and these entryways are on easements. You know we're not going to get any assistance from Wayne County, and this has become a township project. Because if we leave it go, it's going to get worse. Their property will become unusable. The properties with heaved driveways are going to get worse. It's certainly not going to get any better. So when this commission looked at it, had our engineers look at it, the whole intent was, how do we reestablish the correct flow of that water to the drain that it was supposed to go to originally? And that's how we ended up where we are right now. And your discussion about what we replace or what we don't replace is very valid. And I think it's a discussion we have to have. But that's just a little history of how we got here. And I think there is a problem, whether it affects a piece of property or not. If that piece of property is in line of the repair, then naturally everything's going to have to get fixed to the repair or to the correct drainage problem. That's the reason we're talking about this. And I understand it's disruption. I mean, I've had it on my street. Everybody's had it at some point or another. But we have these funds that we collect for drainage. And it's actually Wayne County's responsibility. They're Wayne County drains, but they're not going to do anything. So this township has taken it upon themselves, and we collect it in our taxes. You'll see a millage on your tax bill for drainage, and this is exactly what that's for. I just wanted to put a little history perspective into that.
I'll add to that. Each year we do a drainage project or two. Last year we did one for about $32,000 where people were really flooded, and it really solved the problem. So over the years, most of the projects we've taken on have solved problems for people. So Les.
When they built those houses, Lorenda, wasn't the driveways under the building code to be cement driveways? And how did they get gravel from where the driveway ends to the road edge? Has the culvert already been replaced?
You know, Les, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look through the records to see what year it was, but generally the approaches are supposed to match the road. That's the rule of thumb.
Yeah, because most of the time when the county comes in there and digs something up, they will not put back what they dig up.
Right.
And if some of these people already have gravel in their driveways, I wonder if the county's already tore that up. And
you know, and another thing too, Les, is that when people go to replace their driveways, a lot of times they're only doing it on their own personal private property, and they're not doing the approaches because of the length of time it takes to get a permit through the county. They just leave it in gravel.
True.
Anything else, Les?
No.
Phil?
I guess I'm curious as to how many, the breakdown of gravel, concrete, and asphalt. I know you said there was a mix.
Well, I don't have that in front of me, so
I
we'd
do.
have to pull that off the plan. You do have it?
Yep. Here, you want to pass that down?
What I will tell you is that based on the quantities that would be necessary, this was in our packet last month. If all the drives are put in gravel, the estimated cost is $6,225. If they're all put in asphalt, it's $14,525. And if they're all put back in concrete, which we wouldn't do, but if we did that, it'd be $25,000, $24,900. So.
And then what's the figure if they're all put back the way they are?
I don't have that.
I'm surprised.
Sometimes someplace between 25 and.
It'd be less than 25.
Oh, yeah, much less.
Maybe 25 and 25.
I would guess we'd be looking at something in the vicinity of
you don't know.
16,000.
You don't know.
We'll ask the engineers.
Strictly a dice roll.
So that's a good question.
It is.
And what we can do is this. As they said, we've advertised for bids, and we're going to take bids in 2 days. We've applied for the permits from the county. Now, it's a guess when we'll get a permit. And if we get a permit, will they add costs to it? Hopefully not, because we supposedly have designed to their standard. I will tell you that, anybody go to Westcroft Gardens, ever? That little pavement improvement that was done there, we did it. And some 7 years ago, the guardrail by the driveway caved in. So we said, well, we're going to do a project there. So we designed to widen the road there, put a box culvert in to extend it so no, it wasn't at the edge of pavement anymore, 6 feet in each direction. And that culvert under there they used to run cattle through there, I'm told, to the river to drink. So you can walk through it. And it's a box culvert, concrete, and we extended it. The county was going to add $150,000 to the project. We finally got them to back off, but it took us 7 months to get a permit. Now, I anticipate if in the next couple of weeks we don't get a permit, I'm going to call Mr. Palomera, our county commissioner, and see if he can get us a permit, because if we're going to fix it, we might as well fix it now before winter sets in. And as we said, we would put it all down in gravel for now, and then in the spring decide how we're going to do with it. But you'd want to know before we start, I guess, what we're going to do with it. So we can go back. We have to award a contract, probably at our next meeting. So what we can do is go back to the engineers and ask them to do a cost estimate by parcel for each drive, and see what it would be.
They could do, we need that. The other thing, too, is that we don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. The repair's got to get done. It can't be repaved until there's a reasonable settlement period, which I guess, Les, what would that be? 4 months, 6 months?
One good winter.
One good winter. So you have to let the settlement level out by itself. There's no paving that's going to go on in 2015. It can't be. So we don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse. You want to get the repair done first, get your drainage taken care of. If it rains in December, which it does sometimes, you're going to want that drainage to work. And the reason is in December, then if it gets cold, that drainage doesn't flow, then it's ice. So that part, we have to have the horse first and then the cart. That's all.
I agree. I think we need the breakdown of each house. My personal inclination is if, like the gentleman said, he just put a whole new driveway in 4 years ago, to have to incur an expense because we're making a major change to the whole slope of a given area, I would kind of be in the court of expecting like with like. And people that had a gravel driveway, they had a gravel driveway. People that had a concrete driveway, they improved their property, they had a concrete driveway. That would just be my inclination.
I think so for now.
Hey, Bill?
Yeah.
A lot of times when a project like this gets done, and I've seen it in paving on some of the streets and things, people that have a gravel driveway and they're putting paving in, this guy over here decided, well, since you're here, why don't you pave my driveway? Well, then the guy that's got the gravel driveway says, well, that looks nice. I think I'll get mine paved. So it might end up the people that have a gravel driveway, when this project gets going, they might have the concrete or the blacktop put in when they replace the stuff. They'll all be...
They pay for it.
Yeah, they'll all be that way.
Might get a better price if...
Yeah.
Then I'm just trying to raise all the issues, and then we have the problem with people that have two driveways. There are two people that have two driveways. So what's equitable there? I mean, I think we have to talk about all the equities here. We don't have a drainage problem we're talking about fixing it on the other side of the street, but if we did, they'd come along and say, well, you got to fix our driveway too.
Drainage problem across the other side too.
Yeah. Well, I've been up and down Stout Street several times, and yours is the worst problem that I've seen. But, Jim?
I'm okay.
Opinion on anything?
Well, I want to do it, obviously I want to do it the right way. I don't want to do it twice. Driveway.
trying to get it. Beat up for a while before we can.
Jim Budney.
Yeah, of the people present from Stout, the majority of them, far majority of them, are in favor of doing the project. My question to them would be, would anybody that's for it be against it if we weren't going to replace your concrete or your asphalt drive? Would that alone stop? Would that alone make you want us not to do the project? I mean, and so we know there's a bigger problem than the driveways. It's the drainage, and we need to take care of that. We know that we're not going to be doing any type of paving this year. We want to get it done, get the stone in, let it set. The question of whether we replace the cement for the cement people or the asphalt is something that we do need to talk about. We absolutely have to get the cost on it. Because we're actually using drainage funds. Should be taking care of drainage, not side drives. But the fact that we're taking this on, even though it's not ours to take on, it's Wayne County's, we still have to take that into consideration. And it just needs more discussion. But we need more facts before we can discuss it. So,
Good. All right. Thank you.
The $100,000 quote, does that include total restoration as is?
Yes, except for the driveways.
Does not include any of
It
the
included putting them back in gravel.
it's gravel driveways.
All right, so here's where I think we stand. I'll try to summarize. You all came tonight, thank you. And you're going to have a chance to speak again if you wish. We're going to take bids in a couple of days. That'll give us time to analyze them, and we're going to ask the county to get us a permit by our next meeting. Our next meeting is October 13th. We would be ready to award a contract at that date. That's enough time to build the project if the contractor's lined up to go.
Weather's still good.
So you're all invited to come back October 13th. That'd be I think we need to address the issues that have been raised here, give some thought to it about the replacement of the drives. Maybe by then we'll have cost estimates from contractors. You know, when we estimate projects, we always estimate a little high. Maybe the bids will be good. So, and we'll have all the dollar costs in hand. This is my approach to it, at least. And we'll get the better breakdown on the driveway fixes based on what's there and replacing what's there, so we all know what those costs would be. And I'll ask them to put it together on a little sketch so we can see by property how much we're going to spend on each person's property to replace the driveways. Have this try to settle the issue at our next meeting. We wanted you all to be invited. We like having a crowd. We don't get a crowd often. So I would caution you at our October 13th meeting, we're probably going to start off with a public hearing to talk about our road and water main bond issue, which you'll hear about. So that would be enlightening as well. So anybody have further comments on this topic?
Including gravel in my approach.
Come up to the podium. Well, you have to. It's just public record.
No, you couldn't put any gravel in my place until I get a new driveway, since it's down 14 inches. For me to get it parallel to the road, you'd have to wait till I get a driveway put up there before you could fill in the gravel. So that's another problem. I'm not going to worry about that. Just get the water moving.
Well, our engineers should worry about it, and I'll ask the question specifically because we don't want water. We're going to lower the ditch, so that should help to begin with.
Yeah, we'd hope so.
But we don't want water running back to your house.
Well, it just stays there, and it doesn't want to move.
I don't think we're going back far enough that that's going to be up to you to fill it on.
All right.
I'll go look at your depressed area again.
Well, like I said, whatever gravel you put in, that wouldn't matter to me, because eventually when I get the side drive, I'd go buy my own gravel to fill it in, get it over with.
Everybody's going to have a little bit of a issue, I guess. Does anybody have any further comment? Mr. Thomas?
If you put a culvert all the way through, it'd probably
Come to the
eliminate
podium,
the problem.
please.
Can you come up to the podium, please?
If they put a culvert all the way through, it was connected, it would probably eliminate the flow problem and make things a lot better. Plus, you'd have a little bit of swale on top of where the conduit goes through, and then have drains on top to drain it down to the existing culvert, which would keep the water drained down and eliminate the problem we have now.
You're saying it would be a nice mowable surface then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This was a concept we talked about, and the concept is the pipe would be laid in if, I mean, we're going to look at that. And I'm aware that this is done in other places where there's a deep ditch, and there's a sort of drop inlet, so that in the ditch surface itself, you'd have a bit of a swale, but not a deep ditch. But then it's up to the property owners to make sure they don't accumulate with leaves, or it won't work. But I don't know that we told you before. I don't know if the county will allow that.
Well, I can tell you from experience, they made me dig mine out. I put a full culvert in and covered it up. The county came back and said, dig it up. So we don't know what they're going to say to us. Hopefully. They should be cooperative. I mean, we're paying for it, but we'll see.
Well, see what you can do. If you could do that, then I'd be for it. But if all you're going to do is dig the ditch deeper, I'm definitely not for it. Because it's all going to backfill itself, and it's going to be a big mess like it's been before.
All right.
Thank you.
No further comment on that?
I thought of one other thing, especially the people with the concrete driveways or the asphalt driveways. With digital cameras the way they are right now, you should, before any excavation is done, take your photographs, know the date that you took them. There's ways that you can make sure those are the dates, and then print those on paper. And then we have a good depiction of what your driveway looks like, both in its unrestored state and the material composite at your driveway entrance. And that helps us a lot. And all it does is reach for the truth, really. And I'd appreciate that. I think it's probably a good idea.
Okay. If no further comments, you're welcome to stay. We're going to continue with our meeting. Thanks for coming tonight.
Come on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is to discuss our November 3rd ballot proposal. And I just want to basically give you a quick update of where we are. You can give one of these to George, too. You guys and Ted. In your packets, everybody should have received a copy of this. How many copies, Lorinda? Everybody got?
How many do we have?
Oh, how many did everybody get?
Oh, I gave one to everybody except for you. I gave you 6.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of them in the back of the room here.
Right, so you can get more of these. So this is the final product. Les, you see the cover?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And John, we did thank you for that. Spelling
I
error.
had fun thinking about good old days as a young attorney.
So anyway, we've printed 5,000 of these. 4,000 will be mailed to every household. It's an explanation, a brief explanation of what we're talking about doing. And we're talking about fixing most of our primary and secondary roads in the township, either through resurfacing, chip sealing, or in the case of Church Road, reconstruction. And as far as water main, several links of primary water main on East and West River roads, through Church Road, through Meridian, some other areas would be upgraded from old 6-inch, 70-year-old water pipe to new 12-inch mains. Project cost, I need not tell you, is $18,800,000. And we've asked this to be placed on the ballot November 3rd. The Township Board has done it. So what we have to do now is explain it to the public. And we want to be really, the word is transparent. So let me give you an update of what we're talking about. The handout that I just gave you, here's where we are. Item number 1. The flyer that I'm talking about, 5,000 copies printed. We're going to mail out some 4,000 to every property owner, every household, every business on the island. And that mailing will take place September 15th. Why September 15th? Because in this notice, it talks about an advertised public hearing in the blue on the second page. It says we're going to have a public hearing that the township manager will be present at on September 29th in this chamber, and again at our meeting on October 13th, to invite the public in, and every household's going to get this notice. Hopefully they'll read their mail, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout. Hopefully it'll be overflowing. And people are invited to come in. Now it also says that those 2 public meetings will be cablecast live. So we've tried in every way to inform the public. Item number 2, a half-hour cable production will be produced September 16th. Myself and Dale Rayom, the township manager, have already begun to script a presentation that will be shown on cable TV numerous times between the middle of September and November 3rd. And it'll explain what's being proposed, explain the tax implications, and every element of it. Item number 3 is either on the 17th or the 24th. We're going to try to speak to the Grosse Ile Rotary Club. Ted can probably help us there one of the next Thursday nights. I made a call to the Kiwanis Club. Led me to believe there is no more functioning Kiwanis Club, but I don't know if that's accurate. I'll have to pursue that. Yeah, well, the response I got was that they're not meeting anymore on the island. I don't know if that was accurate or not. I've put a call into the fire chief. He already told me that we can go to one of his weekly Wednesday night training sessions and make a presentation. I think the firemen are important because they're out and around the community and they need to know what we're talking about. And I do know the fire department's very much in favor of the water main portion of this. We're also going to hit other employees like the police department, and I think Dale Rayom is going to work with the police chief to make sure the police understand this. The worst thing you can do is have people in uniform who represent the township and not be fully informed of what's being proposed. So if they're asked questions, they can answer them. Item 5, I have approval to be on the September 21st Township Planning Commission. And why I'm telling you this about these meetings is you're all invited. Any one of these you want to come to, feel free. So I talked to John Schweikert today. He's going to see that we're on the September 21st Township Planning Commission agenda, and I have to call Lori. You have to remind me tomorrow to call her and give her the language. Jim, the September 22nd meeting of the school board is our target. I have not made a phone call there yet. I wanted to talk to you about it tonight. And again, if any of you want to go to these meetings, you're welcome to. September 24th, Township Manager and Trustee Tom Melvesto are going to make a presentation to the Recreation Commission. So you can see we got the 21st, 22nd, 24th. On Tuesday the 29th, we have our public hearing, cablecast live, and it's going to be advertised in this flyer. The date has not been set yet to speak to the seniors, but we're going to work on that. The seniors don't have a big luncheon until October 14th, and I think that's kind of late to talk to the seniors because a lot of them vote absentee as soon as the ballots are available. So we're going to work on, but for sure it'll be either October 14th or sooner to speak to the seniors. I understand now that the Trenton Tribune, item number 10 here, is going to have 2 pages every week they come out devoted?
Once a month, that paper comes out,
Once a month? So Dale, the township manager, and I are going to talk to the Tribune about being in their October publication. Dale Riom has already begun contacting the realtor offices. We thought about getting them all together. 5 realtor offices, and the first one that we encountered said, we don't like to get together with all those people. Something like that. I wasn't part of the conversation. So Dale's made a commitment that when they have their weekly meetings of all their salespeople at each real estate office, that he would attempt to go and meet with them, pass out the flyers so that the realtors who are representing the community to both sellers and purchasers would be able to represent what's being proposed. We also, on item 12, plan to discuss this with all the other township department heads so they all understand it. We're open to present to other community groups that any of you may think of. And we hope to have at least 6 large 4-foot by 3-foot boards that will display this. So I already know you can go to Office Depot and talk to the township manager. We can get these pages put on a large board with a title on it, read, so maybe we can get one at the post office. Certainly we'll put them in the township hall, maybe at the drugstore on display. I don't know if they'll do that. We can ask. Maybe Kroger, if they'll allow us to do that. So people can, when they go...
Post office, probably not.
I'm guessing that, but we can ask. We can ask.
Never hurts.
So that's a thought. And so, do any of you have any other suggestions? I just wanted to give you an update. We're not just sitting back. We're starting to figure out. But again, any of you would be invited to attend with us. Okay? All right. Any comments? Hearing none, we can move on.
Bill, one of the builders approached me today and asked about maybe one of those mobile signs, the construction signs with the messages. That was his suggestion. You know what I mean? The one like in front of the fire department for open house, fix our roads, pick up a pamphlet.
Well, if that's not your suggestion, John. I know you're transmitting it. I don't know if that... I'm not sure I like that idea.
Okay. Can't do that.
Yeah, that's
one thing we can't...
kind of telling them which way to vote.
Explain that
All
again,
this
Bill. One
is
thing we
to get
can't
the
do is
information
what?
out. We can't tell them how to vote.
That's what I mean. Fix our roads, pick up a pamphlet at Township Hall, whatever.
Well, when you start saying fix your roads, you're saying vote for it.
What we can do under the law is, we're not employees, but in a sense we are. We can say to people that we are recommending it, so we're in favor of it, but we can't ask people to vote yes. All we can ask people to do is vote. But we can inform them of what's being proposed. And that would be our public hearings and all these presentations we're making. We've studied this. We've studied the water system, the roads. We've met with the county. We're convinced they're not going to resurface any roads on this island. And they'll fix potholes. Thank God for that. But if we want resurfacing done, they're not going to do it. And one thing, Meridian was on their needs list, county needs list. Out of 200 projects, they do about 14 a year. 14 miles a year. Meridian was on their needs list. I've said this before. In 2013, we were rated 76th on their needs list. Meridian, from Parkway to Church Road. Then in 2014, we went from 76th to 74th. Last year, 2015, we went from 74th to 86th. Now that's rating the county, all the major trunk lines. How do we rate compared to the others in terms of traffic, the condition of the road, number of accidents, and so forth? So we're moving back on the list, not ahead. And if I were running the county, I suppose if I only had $14 million a year to put in the roads, probably would do the same thing. I mean, our problems are bad to us, but I know that Jefferson out towards Brownstown, out towards Monroe County, I just drove it the other day. It's really breaking down pretty bad, and it reminds me of Meridian. So, those are my comments. So, anything for the good of the order? Ted, anything to bring up? Les?
Nothing.
Bill?
Nothing.
We're glad to see you.
Thank you.
John?
Bill, there was one thing. When we're talking about approving or voting on a particular aspect at the ballot, I think it needs to be considered in light of what the realities are in the community. And we will have the summer taxes due and payable by September 14th without penalty. And I took a look at it and I said, gee, I wonder how the township stacks up for the summer taxes only compared to the county and compared to the schools. So I only carried it out 3 places because that kind of detail isn't a lot of fun. So I carried it out 3 places. And I think if anybody took a good look at their tax bill, the absolute lowest group for a percentage of your summer tax bill is the township. And our township encompasses about 21%, a little bit more, of the overall tax bill for the summer. The schools, 47+%, so they're almost half of your tax bill. So if there was a tax bill of $1,000 that was your summer tax bill, about 21% of that would be $210. That would be the township. The schools would be about $470 plus, and the county would be about $310 plus. So if everyone looked at what the percentage is, the township is at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to asking the citizens in this community for money. And I think that reality is interesting when you pair that with other types of considerations. And I have nothing else to say about that.
Very interesting. Thank you, John. Jim?
Nothing, Bill.
Jim? Nothing.
Nothing more.
Staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make the motion. We adjourn this
I
meeting.
would like to support that motion.
Whom supported, we adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.